The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates.
It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media.
News and issues that affect the First State. Stay tuned for Del Aware PM edition, starting at 6. Now, back to the Rick Jensen Show on WDEL.
Welcome to the Dan White Financial Planning Lounge. Dan Simon on the phone. Hi, Dan. How you like the mellow music?
Oh, Rick, you woke me up. I nodded off listening to that music in the background.
Hey, welcome to the Jazz Lounge. So Dan Simon is a brilliant financial planner with Dan White and Associates, and they're all financial planners specializing in retirement income. Every Wednesday after the news at 1:30, we get one of these folks calling in to give you some advice. And I saw the email you sent, and I thought, man, diversify your retirement income sources. So let me lead into this because I see that there are probably a dozen different ways you can invest in treasuries, in municipals, and money markets at bank, money market funds, the insurance contracts that are actually guaranteed by the state insurance fund. There's a lot of ways you can do this because people don't want to put a lot of their money at risk. So with that said, go. How you like that? Just go.
I love it. I love it, Rick. So, when I think about retirement and retirement income planning, I think it's really important that, people diversify their retirement income sources. And when I think about that, and it's kind of a tagline, right? Diversify your retirement income sources. It makes sense. It's logical. But then it's about, allocating different assets to different products, right? And when we think about financial products, there's thousands of them, if not hundreds of thousands of different products, whether they're, mutual funds, ETFs, stocks, bonds, annuities, whether they're fixed, whether they're variable, CDs, cash in the bank. Then you could have rental properties. There's all sorts of type of different products, right? We hear the term product all the time. And when I think about all products have attributes that are designed to overcome or compensate for a challenge or an obstacle that people face. So I think it's very important when we think about that and retirement income planning and really identify the challenges that we do all face when it comes to retirement. And there's really 5 or 6 big ones when you think about it. There's longevity risk. Nobody knows how long they're going to live. People are living longer. There's market risk. If your investments are in the market, markets go up, they go down. Sequence of return risk really creeps into the equation. There's inflation risk. There's tax risk. There's healthcare risk. There's wealth transfer risk, right? So a lot of risks, a lot of challenges that we see people face in retirement. And I think it is important to make sure that the products that you're utilizing are designed to accomplish each of those challenges. It's the old saying, you don't use a screwdriver to hammer in a nail, right? So when we think about diversifying retirement income sources, the first thing most people identify when it comes to retirement income is Social Security. Sure, Social Security's there. It's going to provide you with income, guaranteed for life, inflation adjusted. It's more tax efficient than most other income sources in retirement.
Dan?
Yes.
Until 2035. Just wanted to throw that in there.
That's what they tell us.
Yeah.
That's what they tell us.
Yeah.
Do I believe there will be changes to Social Security?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
How drastic will they be? I don't know. I mean, that's up to the lawmakers to decide. What I do know is that if Social Security disappears, we're going to have a serious economic problem in this country.
True.
Because we will have an impoverished elderly community that relies on Social Security to keep the lights on and keep food on the table. So while I do believe there will be changes to Social Security, I don't believe it will disappear. I think that would be cataclysmic, so to say. Too big to fail.
Well said.
And Social Security it's a piece of the diversified plan. I don't believe that most people look at Social Security as the only income source that they should rely on in retirement. So whether that is part-time work, whether it's leveraging investment assets such as 401ks or IRAs, or having rental properties. I mean, we see all sorts of different routes that people take. And I don't necessarily think there's a one-size-fits-all route for everyone. It's aligning, again, the product that people are using to overcome the obstacles that they face. And again, I look at the market. Is the market a fit for everybody in retirement? Probably not. Is it a good hedge for inflation? I personally believe it is. Look at the market relative to inflation the last 2.5 years. It's done what it's designed to do, outpaced inflation by quite some margins. But again, it's how much risk can people tolerate. Again, diversifying the different income sources generally results in a well-balanced from a risk standpoint plan for retirement income. Not just relying on one individual source, which ultimately, if that fails out, well, then the plan's broken.
Yeah, no, that's what you guys do, and we have to do that in Delaware, especially as you know. Next year, you're going to get that reassessment notice, and your property taxes will go up. At some point, they will go up. I know they keep saying, "Oh, well, a third go up, a third go to say the same, a third go down." They're likely going to go up, and like you said, inflation that's not going down. Year by year, it's lower, but it hasn't really gone down since January 2021. Yeah, what is it the old saying?
It's interesting. The percentage increase reduces every year, but the cost of goods will go up.
Right? I know. So you got to figure out how much you need to live, and that's one of the most difficult things to do for anybody who's ever put together a financial plan. And I've done that a couple of times. How do you even predict that? I tell you what, you can predict. Every 10 years, I need a new water heater. Every 15 years, I need a new water softener. 15, 20 years, a new HVAC system. It's like some things are going to break. What you don't know is what government's going to do. And I guess I'm hearing that from you right now.
It's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainties, and unfortunately, I've seen it firsthand with clients of mine that. They've gotten into retirement because it's like, look, it gets here before we expect it. Mm-hmm. And they're still carrying these Parent Plus loans from their kids that have been out of college for 10, 12 years. And now they're tapping into an IRA that they had designated for retirement income because the kids couldn't get a job to pay, that made them enough money to be able to pay these loans back. And they don't want it to be a financial burden for them. The uncertainty that's out there, whether it's the hot water heater, the roof, hey, we need to buy a new car, or, oh, my goodness, my spouse was just diagnosed with Alzheimer's and I can't take care of her. So she's got to go into a memory care unit. I mean, we've seen it all. But having a well-diversified plan that offers predictable income, that offers growth potential, offers principal security, has liquidity, there's a lot that goes into it.
I know you guys specialize with folks who are just like 5-10 years from retirement. Is that about the right range? 10 years?
Yeah,
5
absolutely.
Years? But the real truth is, we all know this, is you really need to get started on this when you start working. In your 20s. That's really when you need to do this. If you haven't done it by your 30s, well, you're running a little bit late and need to do that. And you mentioned Alzheimer's and long-term memory care. So my wife, a lot smarter than I am, she bought a Metropolitan Life policy that will pay for that kind of care when she gets older. Figuring
long-term care insurance.
What is that?
Long-term care insurance.
Exactly. And she did that when she was younger. So that made it affordable. She has to keep paying for years and years and years, obviously. But if you wait till you're like in your 50s or 60s, it can be unaffordable. I think she did that when she was actually in her late 30s. I thought, wow, that's prescient. And she said, yeah, I know I'm going to outlive you. So, got to get the joke in there. So, that's something people need to be talking about when they're younger, isn't it?
It is, and it's one of the issues is yes, the cost of the insurance increases as you get older, but also the insurability aspect. It decreases as you get older as life happens. I mean, God forbid someone is diagnosed with a cancer diagnosis that might make them uninsurable for some type of long-term care insurance, or whether it's another type of disease, an autoimmune or something along those lines. I mean, those policies are generally underwritten from a health standpoint. So the longer you wait, the more those types of things can creep into the equation. But yeah, that's some serious forward thinking to do it when she was in her 30s. For
sure.
Yeah,
sure. Well, she's a very smart, forward thinking woman. So your phone was cracking up just a little bit there, and I get the feeling we should probably be wrapping. Dan Simon, great advice, great things to think about. You can call Dan at 888-690-8800, 888-690-8800, and sit down. Doesn't charge anything. Also, on Sunday morning at 7 o'clock, Dan White presents On the Money here on WDEL, 101.7 FM, 1150 AM, streaming live at WDEL.com. And do you have any idea what's on the agenda for Sunday morning at 7?
What is on the agenda for Sunday morning?
I should have framed that some other way for you.
Do I know the topic off the top of my head? Let's see. Do we have a Sunday show? I don't know off the top of my head, Rick.
That's cool.
You got me on that
I
one.
tell you what, though, I'm up on...
There's only so much I can keep upstairs.
Yeah, I understand. So, no, I'm up early in the morning on Sundays, turn on WDEL. There's Dan White, get a cup of coffee, and listen to what he's sharing, because he's a brilliant guy. And all of you do great work, and I thank you very much at Dan White. Thanks, Dan Simon.
Hey, Rick, thanks for the kind words. Have a great afternoon.
All right, take care.